So this is the first proper dry period that I've had this year. We're now in July and it's the first extended dry period that I've had with no work. I say no work. I did do the shoot Friday, small shoot that I have a couple of deliverables to send, but I work doing that every 3 months for an existing client of mine. So no new work, nothing on the horizon, nothing. So a real dry period, and the first one I've had so far this year, which this is the first year that I'm taking this business seriously. So that's not too bad. And if anything, what I've done is I've flipped it on its head, and instead of looking at it like I'm going to take advantage of the time that I've got, and tomorrow I'm flying out to Spain. My mum's over there at the moment with her partner, so I'm going to go meet them. Because it's easy when you're working for yourself to just never take any time off. And although that's not me, I do take that time off. I think it's important to understand when you can just go. Don't worry about the work right now. Like I said, I've had quite a good year so far. To say that it's the first year that I've been taking this seriously. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a trip for a week. Not a week, 5 days. So it is important to take breaks, and certainly from like a creative standpoint. For me, I go crazy if I don't have breaks every now and then. And to be honest, I don't know if I could be creative 24/7. I definitely couldn't be. I definitely need those breaks to reset and understand what my goals actually are, and also understand what my intentions are when it comes to my work. I think there's a lot of noise these days, and taking that break is going to be a nice refresh, nice reset. I just want to talk a bit about last week's shoot. So the shoot went well. I looked at the footage afterwards, really happy with the footage that I got, a lot of it. I've not used the gimbal that much, and some of the footage is a bit all over the place. I need to practice more with the gimbal. I did get some really good looking footage, in my opinion. So smashed out an edit for that today. I had to deliver a recap, did that, sent that over to the guys at Myokine, and from what I can see, they seem happy with it. I'm going to do a few more little snippets from the footage for them as well, just so they can post on their social media page. But yeah, I'd say that was a successful shoot and edit, because there's just no telling what you're going to get sometimes. Just because it's so fast paced, like certainly with the Pilates class that I did, everything was so fast paced. I got there half an hour early. I felt prepared, but then it just goes. And there's no control over where anyone's going to be at any time, what anybody's saying, things like that. So yeah, but I did get some good stuff, which is positive. One thing I was thinking when I was doing this shoot on Friday as well is this studio, this particular Pilates studio was brand new. They're opening up several other locations in London over the coming months as well. So what I did was I took some extra footage than what I'd usually take, just stuff that I needed beyond the brand that I was filming for. And I'm going to put together another edit just to send through to the studio, just like a 30-second or something like that. And I think that they would benefit from maybe seeing at least what I can do. And then if they want someone now or in the future to produce that type of content for their page, they know who to come to. So I'm just packing my bag here for tomorrow. And what you're seeing here is the bag that just keeps on giving. I bought this bag last year, and it's made by Eastpak. And it's just a carry-on suitcase, but I'm yet to reach its limits. So it's great. Just carry on. I've taken it for a 2-week trip before, and it's been fine. I mean, I don't take much. It's just t-shirts and shorts. So, but great bag. Finishing packing this up now, and I've got an early rise tomorrow morning. My flight's at 8:20. Got to be at Gatwick for 6:20, and my train there leaves at 4:30. So I've got to be up at like 3:30. So catch you tomorrow. Over and out. Okay, it's 4:20 in the morning. Very early morning this morning. 3 a.m. alarm. I've got 10 minutes until my train now into Gatwick. a 1.5 hour train to Gatwick, a further 2 hours waiting at the airport, for then a 3-hour flight to the south of Spain. So round trip, so door to door, about 8 hours. Why do I do this to ourselves? Certainly because the weather is so nice in the UK at the moment as well, but no, it's going to be a good trip. 2 hours before my flight, enough time to get refueled before the flight. Just sat here now and just looking through some messages that I need to catch up on. One of which, interesting message on LinkedIn this morning. There was a client that I did a video for from LinkedIn a few months ago. They posted about a video that they needed for their business. We liaised a little bit on LinkedIn and then I ended up doing a video for them, which they were really happy with. I'm going to put it up here now so you can see it. They were really happy with the video. They reposted it on LinkedIn, tagged me in it, things like that. They got back to me yesterday asking me if I wanted to do another 2 videos for them. So that is great news. I just emailed back and said, yeah, certainly do that for them. Asked them to send me more details. I'll be able to provide a quote from there. So that's good news. And also sent another quote out yesterday for another job based on a post on LinkedIn. They sent me a brief, actually. They wanted to send out a brief first before I could quote it, which is a good idea, but there were still details lacking from the brief. So I was able to quote it. I was able to give it a bit of a provisional quote, but depending on scope, depending on the footage that they're going to send me, we might need to reassess. But I've sent that over yesterday as well. That's a £1,500 quote for the video there, so we'll see. It's a 2-minute video. They, like I said, are going to provide footage, but they do have 2 areas of the video that they don't have any footage for, and they want the footage AI generated rather than taking time to shoot something. So that's going to take time and obviously cost on my side as well. So I have built that into the quote and we'll see what they come back with. As usual, we'll always see what they come back with. They're either going to take it or they're not. Going to be on the flight in about an hour and a half. So got a bit of work to catch up on that I might get done on the flight, provided I can keep my eyes open. And then I'll be in Spain. And I will be doing some bits over the course this next week. So I will be getting some stuff done, showing you around the place, and just keeping you updated on what I'm doing. Okay, update. So I went to check in at the gate and sat there. Then they announced there was going to be a half-an-hour delay. So I came out, went back for 9 a.m. and as predictable as ever, they have now told me that there is a further half-an-hour delay and I've got to go back to the gate at 9:30. So I've got 20 minutes. I'm just sitting here getting some amends done to the Myokine video that I filmed on Friday last week. They're relatively happy with the video, just a few amends they wanted. So I thought, let's get that done now. All right, so I finally arrived into Spain last night at about 6 p.m. So that was altogether to get from London to Spain, where I am now, 13 hours. 13 hours. I could have flown to Asia in 13 hours. But anyway, I got here, not without complication. The flight was in the end delayed for 2 hours, 40 minutes. Originally, it was delayed for an hour. Then we got onto the plane and they announced that they weren't going to be taking off for another hour. So, and then it was actually another hour and a half. So we were just sat on the plane. Then I got to Malaga and then I had to get a bus for an hour and a half, but I missed the bus. So yeah, it was just complication after complication, but I got here in the end and checked in last night, went to meet my parents for dinner, but I'm going to show you around the place. So you come in here and yeah, you have like a little balcony out there, which is going to be blown out. You're about to see it. A bit of a living space, kitchen, and then you come through here to the bedroom. There we go. There's the bed. No need for a bed test because that is rock solid, back breaking. Bit of wardrobe and through to the small ass bathroom, but it does what it needs to do. There we go. And then yeah, that's it. So back through here. Bit of a little working space here, which is nice. And so, yeah, I'm just going to perch myself here for about an hour. I've got a couple of things that I need to do. I got up this morning, went for a run down the coast, which was great. And then had some breakfast. Now I've come back. But I need to send out a couple of emails. The Myokine shoot that I did on Friday, I sent an edit to those guys a couple of days ago. They wanted a few changes. I did make the changes yesterday, and they came back to me. They wanted a few other changes, just in terms of the audio that's in the video. So I'm going to make those changes this morning, send that back to them. Hopefully it'll be done and dusted with that then. Got a couple of other little bits that I need to do for them as well, based on some of the other footage. Like we created some UGC style footage with some of the people that were there on the day. So I need to edit some of that stuff, which I'll do over the course of this week and send through to them as well. Another thing that I want to do this morning as well is what I like to do each day is, like I've said before, LinkedIn. There's a lot of people advertising just one-time jobs, video shoots, editing work and things like that. So I just like to each day, if I can, try and have just a scroll through new posts, anything to do with videography, editing, video production. I always type that stuff in and just see what people have been posting about. And 9 times out of 10, there's 1 or 2 people looking for like a shoot next week, a shooter next week for a video shoot or whatever. So I have had a few projects from LinkedIn. So like I said, it's just 20 minutes a day going through that and just seeing what we come up with. Okay, that's everything done. So now I'm off to the beach.
Yeah, smoking on his eyes, swear really got me fried. I've been through a lot, I swear it helps me clear my mind. We put some work on the streets, we in overdrive. Saving 30% just to pay the fines. Only hit my phone if you...
You know, one thing I've been thinking about recently is whether my equipment, my camera gear, is losing me jobs. And the reason I say this is because there's been a few times recently where I've been trying to quote a job and they've said to me, what camera gear do you use? And I think there's like many reasons why they could be asking that. One might be if they've got other shooters and if they're using, say, a Sony or a Canon or something like that, then they maybe want to match the footage. But another reason I feel might be pure and utter snobbery when it comes to camera gear. And tell me what you think about this. I'd love to hear about this in the comments. Let me know what you think. Because I think unless you're using like a Sony these days when it comes to filming, people just don't want anything to do with it. That's how I feel. And again, tell me if I'm wrong here. I use a Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark II. And the reason I use that is because, well, it's brilliant for a start. It's got the best bang for your buck, especially when you're starting out in this industry. For me, I didn't want to spend too much money on a camera. I mean, listen, these cameras are still 2K. They're still $2,000, and I've got 2 of them now. I think I'd rather have 2 camera bodies, have a spare, have different angles for cameras, rather than just spend 3-4K on a Sony when I didn't know how this was going to work out, right? So for me, the Lumix was the best bang for my buck. Don't get me wrong. If you've seen my projects, I personally think that a lot of the footage looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, there's footage that I'm not happy with a lot of the time, and that though is because the fine tuning of the camera I'm not 100% educated on yet. So once I've got that down, I think the footage will look even better. And not only that as well, but it's like conditions that you're shooting in, right? So like lighting is a massive thing. So the Lumix I'm happy with. I think I do a good job with it. I've not had to have too much of an investment in it when first starting out. So for me, it seemed like the best way to go. And I got some good recommendations on that as well. But I do think that there's a lot of snobbery out there in the industry. If you don't use a Sony, then why bother? Almost, I think people think that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what you guys think. Leave me a comment below and let me know. Now, I personally believe that this stuff should be based on your portfolio, the quality of the work in your portfolio. And people can see that. I don't hide away when it comes to showing people my work. They can see it on my website, amixmotion.com, or they can see it on my Instagram at amixmotion. So I don't shy away from that stuff. So they should be looking at the portfolio. But I don't necessarily think they are just looking at that. Again, it might depend on the different situations when it comes to shooting, who you're shooting with, if you're shooting with someone, whether the client's requested a certain type of camera gear, who knows? Because you've got all these people online these days that are saying it's not about what you're shooting with. And I think to a large extent, I agree with that. I mean, you've got people shooting on iPhone these days, for God's sake. You've got iPhone footage next to a Sony camera footage, and people can't tell the difference. Or people are saying the iPhone looks better than the Sony, but obviously it doesn't when it comes to things like color grading and stuff like that. Obviously, you've got more dynamic range, you've got more to play with, but what gets me is when people are just like, no, unless you're shooting on a Sony, then you're not gonna be a good videographer. You're not gonna get a good result. I was in a gym in Dubai shooting a couple of months ago, and a guy came up to me, asked me what I was doing, looked at my camera, and the first thing he said was, why are you not using a Sony? Where has this mentality come from? Please, someone shed some light on it for me. This has got to be the busiest airport I've ever been to. Just got back to the airport for the long journey home from Spain. Took a coach, already got to the airport, sat open-mouthed on the coach, asleep, because I had to get up at like 6 this morning. But back at the airport, waiting for my flight. It's been a great few days, spent some time with my parents, and yeah, enjoyed some sun, got sunburn, like a true Brit. And yeah, now I'm on my way back. But things that we've got done this week, got the Myokine video done from last Friday's shoot. And then if you remember, I was talking about doing another reel for the Pilates studio. They don't know about it, but a way for me to try and gain their attention, bring in some work, sales tactic, I guess. What I'm going to do is, I've finished the video pretty much, it just needs some polish. I'm going to send it over to them, maybe ask them to collaborate on Instagram, but also use it, like I said, as a bit of a tool to then open conversations about, oh, I think we could do this, and I think this would be valuable for your studio as well. Plus other studios that you're going to be opening in London in the next few months. So whether it works or not, who knows? Like I said, it didn't take me too long. It's only a 20-second reel, but you never know. And like I said, because work at the moment for me is thin on the ground, like I don't mind doing this if it keeps me practiced, keeps my portfolio developing. But yeah, going to get this flight back and then try and make something of the rest of the weekend. Got Sunday, so we'll see what happens. If you like watching these vlogs, as usual, subscribe, like, do whatever you need to do, all that jazz. But also, YouTube is suggesting you watch this video here. Keep watching, or I'll see you in next week's vlog. For now, I'm Ash, and this is Amix Motion.